After spending hundreds of millions of dollars forcibly popularizing a character from a film that few people watched upon its debut, the Tiana Disney Plus streaming series has officially been canceled. With Layoffs now expected to take place at the newly formed Vancouver studio, let's talk about the push by Disney to make Tiana a thing that eventually led to the destruction of one of the most beloved attractions of all time, here on That Park Place.
I'm wasting time here. I'm not killing time. I'm wasting time. You want to know why? Because Tiana ain't got no time left. Tiana animated Disney Plus series canceled as Disney retreats from long-form streaming originals. It's so amazing to me. They announce these things and then they cancel them immediately. It's so bad.
Well, it's terrible. I mean, you know, at a time when they really need to promote their amazing new attraction, having this series just eliminated, it may give people the impression that maybe this wasn't quite as popular as they'd hoped. Plus, they're using the American version of canceled there, and that's just going to be sad for our friends in the UK. You got to add another L in there.
Yeah. So I threw a little joke in there that some people will get and some people won't. You will get it by the end of the story, though. Tiana animated series canceled almost immediately. Well, it's not really almost immediately. This was announced 5 years ago. Walt Disney Animation Studios has officially scrapped its long-planned Disney Plus Tiana series, marking another major retreat from original streaming content. The decision, first reported by The Hollywood Reporter, comes as Disney moves away from producing long-form animated content exclusively for its streaming platforms. This will unfortunately lead to layoffs at the Vancouver animation studio that worked on this series and produced Moana 2. And I do believe they pay a little less money for those Vancouver animators. That's one of the reasons that they hire Vancouver animators. It cost a lot to make because it was a TV series.
They made it twice.
Reformatted into a movie. And also they used 2 animation studios to get it working. This is a movie that started out with 1 director and then had 3 directors. And who knows, by the end of it, I have a suspicion that Jared Bush ended up the final director on all of that. And now the animation studio up there in Vancouver may not be the same staff. Who knows? Part of them, at least, are going to be laid off because of Tiana. Now, one other thing that I want to point out here is this is not fully going away. So that animation staff is being laid off, except that they are going to make some kind of content. They're not saying TV series turned into a movie anymore, but they are saying they're going to do something here. Culture?
I wanted to just remind everybody that the Californians were worried that their jobs were moving up to Canada. Are those people going to come back in California, or is Disney just cutting animation across the board? I mean, do you have an inkling?
I've heard some posts actually from social media actually where people are complaining because they apparently moved to Vancouver in order to be part of this Vancouver studio, and now their jobs might be on the line. Whoops. Not so great right there.
Okay, I want to go straight to Hollywood Reporter at this point, and it's a great article over on That Park Place. You should read it. Marvin does a fantastic job, and again, we have more information to throw in here. A spokesperson confirmed that there will be some layoffs in its Vancouver studio as a result of this shift in business strategy. So this is direct communication between the Hollywood Reporter and Disney. So Disney is currently controlling this narrative. In addition to the Tiana series, the studio is also scrapping an unannounced feature-length project that was set to go straight to Disney Plus. So that one right there, tax write-off. It is already expensed. They have paid for people, and they're getting nothing out of it. If there is any asset there, it is not being capitalized. It is, that's it. That's it. Whatever that feature was, not happening. I don't know what that feature was. No reason to speculate. It could have been a Tiana movie, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Tiana was first announced in December of 2020 and was envisioned as a musical starring Anika Noni Rose reprising her role from the 2009 Princess and the Frog, the film centering on Disney's first Black princess. Princess and the Frog, by the way, has music from Randy Newman, who is wonderful. I don't know if you guys know this, but he writes music real good. And then the music that they have added in that is derivations of his music into Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Forgive me, Special Spice is nothing to shout about. The lyrics are very generic. It's very predictable. They did a Havana Rumba version of Dig a Little Deeper as you go up the lift hill there. Okay, it could have been almost anything in that same style, and it would have had the same effect here. I don't know. The music in the Princess and the Frog, sorry, Tiana's Bayou Adventure ride, nothing to shout about. So I wonder why they didn't pull those people in. Because if you have a great song, why not just go ahead and release it? Because a great song can make up for really awful animation, like I don't know, the Frozen series. Continuing on. Sorry, I'm a little salty today. Sources close to the streaming series say that despite best efforts, including several changes to the creative team, yikes, Tiana ultimately could not get where it needed to be given production costs. This is a rare instance of Disney cutting their losses and running. Go ahead, Culture.
Do we have any idea about where it was supposed to be? Because that's been said a lot of times. Couldn't get where it needed to be. Like done?
That's a good point.
I mean, what does that mean? I feel like we got word salad lady in the conversation here, giving us like unburdened by what has been or something. What's happening now?
I mean, honestly, that's what it needs to be. It needs to be unburdened by the ridiculous decision to put stuff on Disney Plus. Disney Plus should be a streaming platform that is just the Disney Vault. But instead, they said, you know what we want to be? We want to be HBO, but clean. And also, separate from being clean, boring. Oh, and also with a bunch of weird gay stuff in there as well. Don't worry, we won't put the gay stuff into the HBO style content. We'll put that into the preschool content. Great job, Disney Plus. Great job. Still, the Princess and the Frog remains a key property for the company. That sounds like the PR office there, as Tiana is one of Disney's canon princesses. Last year, the Splash Mountain attraction was revamped at both of Disney's U.S. parks and transformed, it was a necessary downgrade, into Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Vash?
Canon princesses. I mean, look, they pushed Tiana everywhere. She took over New Orleans Square, okay, at Disneyland. It just is her land, basically. I mean, well, kind of. She took over two lands, right? Because Critter Country used to be Critter Country, now it's Bayou Country. You know, they made her the theme for the multi-$100 dinner packages over there at the top of the Contemporary for New Year's Eve. We've seen obviously now two versions of her attraction, and well, they're not in good shape. All of these things happen because it's like, oh, she's who we want representing the princesses on a larger scale, especially when this series was being developed. What, December of 2020? I wonder what was going on that year. I mean, they really pushed her out, and I mean, to what end? She wasn't really a big franchise to begin with. I mean, her movie came out in 2009. It was kind of a dud at the box office. Yeah. If that movie would have been successful, maybe 2D animation would have lived on for a little bit longer. Unfortunately, it didn't really move the needle. In fact, her film did so poorly that Disney changed its naming scheme in the future. Because Princess and the Frog, a lot of people, Disney executives and so forth, thought, well, because they had the title Princess in it, let's go ahead and change like Rapunzel to Tangled, Snow Queen to Frozen, and so forth. I mean, she wasn't big to begin with, and yet she was foisted on everybody. Nobody was all that remarkably interested, and now we're seeing the effects of it right here.
Yeah. Tipping Barn, Canon Princess sounds awesome. Yeah, there we go. And somebody put it out. Ken Reihard, coming soon, Tianas of the Caribbean. The animation studio is said to be developing a separate short-form special.
Ooh.
You know what that sounds like? A short form special sounds like a long form special to me. Inspired by The Princess and the Frog, which is currently in early development. Though details of the project remain under wraps, it's expected to feature all new storytelling based on the 2009 film, with Joyce Sherry attached as director and writer, and Steve Anderson also directing. Okay, so anybody spot where they're hiding the ball on this one?
Well, Joyce Sherry, wasn't she a part of the original creative team for this Tiana series?
Yes, she was. With Joyce Sherry attached as director for this Princess and the Frog short form special, sounds like one long form thing to me, and writer, with Steve Anderson also directing. Do you guys know who Steven Anderson is?
I wasn't immediately familiar with his work, but it does seem like they're hiding the ball on this specific issue.
He is the director of Meet the Robinsons, which, by the way, Meet the Robinsons, a lot better than people remember it. If Disney was releasing movies like Meet the Robinsons now, they would have much less of a problem here. So he's directed Disney films in the past. Garfield movie. So maybe they're bringing him back in here for this. Where's the director credits on this one? Here we go. Elmer, Monsters at Work, Winnie the Pooh. He was a director on that one. By the way, a little short, but lovely, that Winnie the Pooh movie. One of my kids loved that one when they were little. The thing that I'm pointing out here is it sounds like Joy Sherry has been kicked off this project and relegated to secondary director on whatever this is, and they've taken somebody who directed things they liked in the past, and now he is going to be the one who is directing this. I'm not making any comment on Joy Sherry and her racial makeup or anything here, but it sounds like they've hired a white guy with credentials in order to take this thing over.
Yeah, apparently hiring people based on immutable characteristics maybe didn't work so well. and maybe they're realigning with people with actual talent who can actually bring these things to fruition. So here's the thing. I mean, we really don't know what the big development holdup was. Obviously, cost related and so forth. But with this Tiana series, I mean, for it to languish like it did for 5 years, and this is, I think, the second time I've heard that it's canceled, which is interesting. It really does speak to perhaps the creative process and talent over there at the studios.
Yeah, I totally agree. So the decision to shelve Tiana and the unannounced Disney Plus movie follows last year's news that Pixar would no longer prioritize developing long-form episodic content after the release of Dream Productions and Win or Lose on Disney Plus. Win or Lose, by the way, is coming out right now. So the announcement that they're getting away from long-form, it's the long-form that's the problem, guys. It's a long-form stuff. It's a huge problem on the platform. Nobody wants to sit down at a streaming service and watch more than 8 minutes at a time. That's what I'm gathering here. Does that sound fair?
Sure. I mean, Bluey's the only successful thing they have on Disney Plus, so yeah, it must be true.
Yep, Bluey that they got into a rental agreement that they're holding on to for dear life. Oh my goodness. Win or Lose, by the way, Win or Lose lost a trans character and now has a Christian character in it. I think that Christian character was probably already in there, and there are some people freaking out that there's an openly Christian character in a Disney production. I'm like, well, when it's something people want to watch, I'll be a lot happier about it. Dream Productions was also one of those background things that they did here. So during the pandemic, some Disney execs, including then CEO Bob Chapek, pressed its various film silos to make original content for Disney Plus in order to grow subscribers. Excuse me, right here. Are they trying to say that all of this is Bob Chapek's fault?
Yes.
Again?
Yep.
I mean, it is 2025, and they're still blaming Bob Chapek for this. When Bob Iger stepped down, he did it very suddenly and said, by the way, it's Bob Chapek. They skipped the entire interview process for the CEO, which is supposed to be interviews with every single board member that take place over the course of 12 to 24 months. In this case, they just said, hey, Bob Iger says it's you, so you're the CEO. Oh, by the way, and Bob Iger announced this publicly, I'm going to be in charge of all the creative for the company, just to make sure that Bob Chapek doesn't screw anything up. Well, now it seems like they're very happy to blame Bob Chapek for all of those creative decisions.
But I'm sorry. So if Iger was still responsible for all the creative decisions, then he decided on Tiana.
Yeah,
right.
I would say so.
So how is that Chapek's fault?
That's a good question. That's a really good. I wonder why it's Chapek's fault. Maybe it's because they're lying. Insiders say that Walt Disney Animation remains committed to releasing one theatrical film per year, in addition to other shorts and special projects. Zootopia 2 is slated for release November 26th, with the studio's new chief creative officer, Jared Bush, by the way, who worked on the first Moana, tapped to direct and write, with Disney vet Byron Howard also directing. So we've gone to that. It doesn't want to do it. Two white guys, Byron Howard. I was wondering where he was recently, and Jared Bush. Again, I'm not trying to see race here, but there's no diversity signaling in it, which has been a hallmark of recent Disney. An unannounced feature is scheduled for 2026, while the third installment in the blockbuster Frozen franchise is set for November 2027. I'm sorry? Zootopia 2 scheduled for November 26th. Unannounced feature scheduled for November of 2026. And the third I'm trying to figure out what the unannounced feature coming in 2026 is, if that's even animation. Short form is wildly popular on streaming. Bluey, which Disney Plus licenses, was the most watched show in the US last year, according to Nielsen. Disney Animation's past short form streaming projects include the Emmy award-winning Zootopia Plus and Baymax series. Zootopia Plus is garbage. I'm just going to point it out. There, it's nothing. It is, they rigged up the models from Zootopia and had them do random things over 8 or so episodes. Baymax, I don't think Baymax hit the streaming Nielsen figures at all, but Baymax is weird. Baymax breaks into a girl's sorry, it's a unisex restroom. It's not a girl's restroom, but little girl locks the door because she's experiencing womanhood for the first time and tells him to go away. And he breaks into the restroom to ask her about her menstruation. This is a series aimed at 5-year-olds, if you look at Disney's own metrics here, including some lines like, "What do I do when my outsides are becoming my insides?" Sorry. Yeah. Wait. My insides are becoming my outsides. Sorry. Haven't menstruated before, so don't really track those things very well. Again, this is a Disney series. By the way, the last episode of that one, I think, has a guy voiced by the main character of Strange World, which, by the way, same guy who does the voice of the main character of, maybe it's Ethan on that one, biracial and gay on that one. And there's also his boyfriend, Diego, in that one. Yeah. Anyways, voices this guy who is a fish soup salesman of some kind, who his family has made fish soup forever. And the guy kind of becomes allergic to fish soup while trying to decide how to be happy. So it kind of reads as he's allergic to not being gay, because he has intense allergies while he's having the fish soup. And when he decides that he has to break off from tradition and ask the guy out and find happiness, that's when his allergies go away. So I'm going to say Baymax, completely inappropriate for 5-year-olds, and also is probably some of the problem that they have over there on Disney Plus. So, is it really short form or long form that's the problem here? I just think it's, forgive me, just a bunch of crap. Bluey is amazing and transcendent, and there's one hint of maybe somebody has 2 moms or something like that in like one of the absolute later episodes. It's like, was that plural when that kid talked about moms or what? That's about as gay as it gets in that show. Also, I'm going to say baloney on one more thing. I have never, ever in the history of raising children for more than a decade heard a child say, well, this is 126 minutes, so let's not watch it.
Good point.
This is a bunch of garbage. I'm sorry. This entire article is such baloney. What in the world? Between this and the Mike Fleming piece from Deadline about Kathleen Kennedy, like, what in the world? They have lost all semblance of sanity. Like, all you have to do is a quick check to see, okay, have you ever met a child? Have you ever met a parent?
Well, a lot of these people don't have children, which is interesting. And they're creating children's content, maybe for other reasons than entertaining children, perhaps. I mean, this is really demonstrative of the downfall of Disney right here. Emmy award-winning Zootopia Plus Baymax series. Emmys, awards, doesn't mean anything. The top of this sentence right here, which, by the way, they bury this all the way down the bottom. Bluey. Bluey's driving the numbers, Bluey's driving the viewership, Bluey's driving the subscriptions, and preventing churn from actually occurring. Disney would love to produce a Bluey, but they are simply incapable of doing that. And the people in charge of creative, well, they don't really want to do those kind of things. So, look, Pete Docter might be trying to right this ship in some ways, and perhaps we have an update on the leadership over there at Disney Animation looking to make course corrections as well. But still, the fact remains, Disney is largely irrelevant, especially when it comes to the Disney Plus streaming animation space.
I am shocked at this, but Baymax did actually win an Emmy. I was very surprised that Zootopia Plus got an Emmy, which I'm struggling to remember most of what happened in Zootopia Plus. It is forgettable. It's like the Jack Jack Attack short that they stuck on the Incredibles DVD, where it's like you wrote a scene and then decided to cut out of the movie and then pretended like it was a short. We're all familiar with those, but in this case, it's Zootopia Plus, and it's not even. I don't even think it's full plots for these really short things that are going on there.
They like those ESPN Emmys where they just kind of hand them out and stuff like that. Are they real Emmys? Like, you know, that we got to delineate between that as well.
By the way, it's outstanding children's programming for Zootopia Plus, which is boring. It's truly boring. And Baymax, I'm just gonna say it got the Emmy because it was the right message. It got 2 Emmys, by the way. Oh, what a waste.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.